Hello, my dear GC. You know, guys, that stands for Generational Curse Breakers, by the way. And welcome to Generational Curse Breaker Wednesday. Yes, you heard that correctly. The podcast where silence gets broken, manipulation gets exposed, truth rises to the surface, and healing begins. This is not gossip. This is not fear mongering. This is awareness, discernment, accountability, and survival. We are the generation that stops normalizing abuse. We are the generation that refuses to pass down trauma. We are the generation that breaks cycles financially, spiritually, emotionally, and yes, mentally. And baby, we're just getting started. First things first, it is official. We have transitioned from TI Tuesdays to our brand new Wednesday home. And let me tell you all something. I don't know what I love more. The fact that you all have taken the power back from oppressing forces, or that you are being so much more vocal about it on LinkedIn. The vote was clear. The energy has shifted, and I am incredibly excited to walk this path with you all. We aren't just identifying the traps anymore. We are breaking the chains, guys. So let's start with the wake-up report and jump right in to the real news that is from this past week. You know, the stuff they aren't giving you the full picture on. GC, this is what they're not putting in plain sight. This week has been full of disturbing development tied to trafficking, exploitation, corruption, surveillance, and you got it, abuse. And while some people are distracted by celebrity gossip and internet chaos, real people are disappearing. Real people are being exploited. Real people are suffering silently. So let's start with our first segment, the GC alert. First up, Capitol Hill. The House Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets had a hearing scheduled for May 13th regarding the CIA's MKUltra program. It got abruptly postponed. Why? Because 3 out of the 4 scheduled witnesses backed out. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who is leading the probe, stated they cited legitimate concern. Only one person was brave enough to stand up, guys. They choose to delay the session rather than run it
The
understaffed.
CIA illegally monitored the computer and phone usage of DIG personnel, their investigations, and contact with whistleblowers. These were Americans being spied upon illegally while executing duties directed by the president and under the authority of the Director of National Intelligence. One CIA contractor assisting with the DIG's investigation into the events that transpired between 2022 and 2023 was fired by the CIA 1 day after meeting with the DIG.
Keep your eyes on this space, guys. The public pressure on Cold War era mind control transparency, yeah, it's boiling over. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, some massive wins for our youth. Operation Safe Return, a joint force operation with the U.S. Marshals and California DOJ, safely located and rescued 37 missing children across Southern California, ages 14 to 17. Now, let's clear up some internet noise right now. Rumors flew around TikTok and Facebook's claiming all these kids were found locked inside a single house in Hemet. Local police confirmed that is completely false. They were spread across regions, victims of trafficking and exploitation, and they are now getting medical support and victim advocacy. 7 predators are in cuffs, including a major federal arrest. And if you think these networks don't touch luxury brands, look at the port of San Diego. Federal agents boarded multiple cruise ships, including the Disney Magic, and detained 28 crew members in a massive sting targeting child sexual abuse material. 27 of them had their visas stripped and are being deported back to the Philippines, Portugal, and Indonesia. Disney fired them immediately. But it shows you the rot can be anywhere. Closer to home, we have some heartbreaking and dark reminders of why we do this work. In Alabama, an 18-year-old young man named Markavius, Mark Rump, went missing on May 6th. His family spent Mother's Day searching for him, only for his mother to discover his dismembered, charred remains in the woods the next day. The local police are tracking down the monsters responsible.
They got to pay all I'm going to pay. Everybody that's involved, I want them to pay for my son.
And up in Pennsylvania at a UPS distribution facility in Middletown, workers opened an unmarked, unlabeled brown box wrapped in bubble wrap. Inside, the mummified hand of an adult woman. It's been lodged into the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, and DNA is currently with a private genetic genealogy company called Osram to map her profile. Investigators say it could be a poorly handled medical specimen or an Odyssey collector shipment gone wrong. But foul play, in my opinion, isn't ruled out. The battle lines are drawn everywhere, from massage parlor busts in Louisville to over 600 human trafficking arrests in California's Operation Reclaim and Rebuild. Even internationally, UK prosecutors just officially hit Andrew and Tristan Tate with human trafficking and rape charges. The infrastructure of exploitation is being cracked open. And that brings us to our first commercial break. Support for today's episode comes from fundraisingcup.org, where advocacy meets impact. Breaking generational curses isn't just about changing our mindsets. It's about putting resources directly back into our community. When you support fundraisingcup.org, you are helping fund the digital media education, community outreach, and critical resources that empower creators and families to build their own table, visually, mentally, and financially. It's time to fund our own freedom. Head over to fundraisingcup.org to see how a simple cup can pour into a massive legacy. From outreach initiatives to awareness campaigns, Fundraising Cup is committed to supporting survivors, empowering community, and helping organizations create meaningful change. To learn more, visit fundraisingcup.org. That's fundraisingcup.org. Okay, guys, welcome back. We're going to jump into some pattern recognition. Let's define stalking. Clearly, because too many people minimize it. Stalking is a pattern of repeated unwanted behavior that causes fear, intimidation, or emotional distress. Examples include repeated unwanted contact, GPS tracking, hacked account, fake online profile, public humiliation, contacting employers, monitoring devices, and harassment through third parties. And yes, technology facilitated abuse is real, guys. Now, this week I want to lock in your focus onto a highly specific sinister intersection, and that is stalking, human trafficking, and economic warfare. This is something many survivors experience but struggle to explain. Because trafficking isn't always chains and kidnapping. Sometimes it looks like workplace sabotage, coordinated surveillance, financial isolation, online humiliation, career destruction, identity manipulation, and psychological intimidation. And many victims don't even realize they're being conditioned. You can be stalked at work, tracked online, monitored socially, targeted financially, and slowly isolated from opportunity. If you see the pattern, you can't unsee the system. And with that said, that brings us to our shadow of truth. Many of our GCs out there think stalking is just a creepy ex or a stranger in the bushes. Well, it could be, but not necessarily. In the digital age, stalking is an economic weapon. Traffickers and exploiters use systemic stalking and illegal surveillance to map out your vulnerabilities before they ever make a move. They look for the financial crack, poverty, housing insecurity, or workplace isolation. Let's first talk about wage theft and uncover corporate exploitation. Imagine a target being illegally surveilled or isolated at work by colleagues. Technically, they are only being compensated for their baseline workload. That's the GC. While behind the scenes, they are being forced to unknowingly train their replacement or absorb the labor of others without pay. That, my friend, is economic violence. Once an exploiter gets a foothold, they use stalking behaviors as permanent economic sabotage. They demand constant check-in, hack into your account, or threaten your family members so you can't keep a stable job. Look at the numbers, guys. 17% of stalking victims lose their entire job or career opportunity. 1 in 8 employees victims lose critical time from work due to ongoing harassment. The total estimated lifetime cost of lost work days due to domestic violence and stalking is a staggering $137.8 billion. Guys, this is a serious matter, and I want to delve into it probably a little deeper into our navigating toxic workplace environment, but it's something to really focus in on and absorb so your mind can understand how these targeted individuals can be harassed at work. Now, I don't want to leave you guys without a hidden gem of knowledge. Here's the hidden gem for this week. And I want you to listen closely because this trips up professionals every single day. Exploiters and corporate stalkers have moved onto your professional network. Yes, we are seeing a massive surge in technology facilitated abuse on platforms like LinkedIn and Glassdoor. Stalkers are using professional fronts to look at your employment history, track your location via your office updates, and project false job offers to get your personal data. They will use fake corporate profiles to run online impersonation campaigns or send malicious, unsubstantiated complaints directly to your human resources departments to ruin your professional credibility. More than a third of workplace stalking victims report having flat out misinformation spread about their professional ability by someone tracking them. A lot of people don't understand that economic abuse is a control tactic. If someone interferes with your employment, your network, your transportation, your reputation, your online identity, or your ability to earn income for that matter, that can become part of a coercive control dynamic. And technology has amplified this. LinkedIn harassment, fake complaints, cyber stalking, impersonation, false narratives, credential sabotage. These are modern warfare tactics against vulnerable people. This is the gem they'd hope you'd miss. And now, the reality check moment. We have to understand the core mechanics of how these criminals operate. They rely on 3 pillars to break you down. Force, 1, fraud, 2, and coercion, 3. Force looks like physical or sexual assault, physical isolation, confinement, and constant monitoring or tracking. Fraud looks like false employment offers, sham marriages, lying about living conditions, and withholding promised wages. And lastly, coercion looks like taking legal documentation, psychological manipulation, threats of arrest or deportation, and imposing debt bondage. They look for people isolated from support networks. They disproportionately target Black, Indigenous, and LGBTQI and communities because they count on those systems ignoring your cries for help. Traffickers and abusers thrive when victims become financially unstable. That's why economic independence matters. Not everything that feels normal is safe. And with that said, it brings us to our second commercial. This segment is sponsored by Awareness. Because somebody listening right now may finally realize they're not paranoid. They're being targeted. If you or someone you know may be experiencing stalking, trafficking, or coercive control, contact trained professionals and victim advocacy organizations immediately. You can reach the National Human Trafficking Hotline or your local victim advocacy program. Get the support you deserve. Now, before we close out today, we aren't just leaving you with the heavy reality. We are giving you the tools to break the cycle. Yes, we are. Early intervention is everything. The Office on Trafficking in Person has been rolling out intensive training on how to spot this technology facilitated abuse early, especially for school-based professionals and behavioral health providers. We are actively working alongside powerhouse organizations like A21 USA. They are on the ground right now investigating these heavy cases, and this is crucial, providing victims with official certification letters that allow them to unlock immediate federal assistance. You do not have to fight these systems alone, guys. If you or someone you know is trapped in a cycle of coercion, surveillance, or labor exploitation, the infrastructure is there to pull you out safely. Your physical action step for the week is to clean up your digital footprint, ladies and gentlemen. Do not post real-time updates about your exact work location or office hours. Turn off the features on your devices that allow third-party apps to track your precise GPS coordinates. Treat your LinkedIn profile as an asset, but treat your personal security as the vault. Awareness without action is incomplete protection. And that brings us to our spiritual reset. Okay, guys, now I want to pivot for a moment. Because we can talk about data, we can look at statistics, and we can map out the law all day long. Well, I'm good at that. But we are generational first breakers. That means we understand that what manifests in the physical world first started as a battle in the spiritual realm. When you are dealing with stalking, surveillance, and economic sabotage, you are not just dealing with bad actors. I wish. You are dealing with a monitoring spirit. You are dealing with an energy that seeks to consume your peace, tracking your progress and trap your potential before it can manifest. The enemy uses these physical tools to make you feel completely surrounded, isolated, and small. But I need you to anchor yourself in a powerful spiritual truth today. Anointed steps cannot be tracked or corrupted.